When I was about 14, I think, I had a conversation with my best friend Dan about whether or not it would be better to have bad Doctor Who or no Doctor Who. I can't really remember what we decided, but I don't think I would have said no Doctor Who. The show is, always will be, just too important to me to give it up. I think at the time we'd just watched the first episode of Trial of a Time Lord, though. And whilst we agreed that some of the effects were good, neither of us were convinced that this new storyline was going to help the show recover from its 18-month hiatus. It looked likely that no Doctor Who was going to be exactly what we got. And as it happened, just 3 years later, the show was gone. And for a while, it looked as if it wasn't coming back. It was, I think, probably at that point that I realised there was no such thing as bad Doctor Who. Yeah, the quality of the stories varies. The acting in some of the episodes is hammier than a sandwich stuffed full of ham. And I guess everyone will erroneously maybe tell you that the sets wobble all over the place, but none of that was actually bad. I can still pick an episode at random and watch it without hesitation. Every episode, for me, has its own charm. There's something about it which still draws me in and enthralls me. From 1963 until 2025, there's not a story which fails to entertain in some regard. Which I guess is why the announcement this week has shaken me a little. Keep saying The second coming of Russell T Davies has not, well, in retrospect for some fans anyway, been universally loved, but I have had no real complaints. Yeah, okay, perhaps some of the fan service has been a bit much, but the episodes have been exciting. They've been engaging, and they've definitely been entertaining. And some of them, Boom, Lux, The Well, definitely, have been some of the best episodes we've been treated to for ages. The departure of Ncuti Gatwa wasn't ideal, obviously, and following the, shall we say, the interesting developments at the conclusion of the last series, it had already become difficult to predict where the show was going next. But fans have been promised a Christmas special. It'd been written. Oh, it had these words in it, etc., etc. And it meant that many people hoped it would deal with that rosary generation and then set the show off in a much-needed new direction. Cancelling the Christmas special with only 6 months' notice feels almost like the BBC have cancelled Christmas itself. So, over the past week, I've wrestled with my feelings regarding what they've decided. I've been sad. Not knowing when the show I love will return is almost heartbreaking for this autistic man of a certain age. I've been angry at the BBC for not making more episodes immediately. Angry at Russell T Davies for running off to do his own thing. But also angry at the fans who think that it's the right thing for everyone to do. But I guess I've also started to understand why the decision's been made. Russell's right to want to do his own thing. I mean, I've just watched Tiptoe, and blimey, it's one of the best pieces of television I've seen in years. It's funny, it's moving, and it is scarily real. I'm not part of the LGBTQ community, but as someone who's felt on the outside of things for such a long time myself, it's really frightening to realise what could quite easily happen here if the current attitude towards certain minorities doesn't drastically alter. Tiptoe is a powerful piece of television that I highly recommend anyone to watch. I also understand the BBC's position, even if they've not been as clear as they could be. I think They want the show to be as good and as well written and as well made and as well loved as it can be. And obviously, to do that, they need to find people who care enough to create something that a wider audience will love. Hello, I'm here. Over here. And they're never going to ask me, are they? But, Doctor Who should be an ever-changing thing. That is built into the show's DNA. And because of that, it means that you should be looking at your audience. The audience that you want, you need to tailor the show to. Yeah, I'm still watching, and, I always will be, I'm sure. But the show itself deserves more than just me and a handful of other devotees watching. It should be viewed by millions. And if that means a fresh start or a soft reboot or perhaps a year or two away to rebuild something that, people are beginning to think is a bit stale, then I think that's probably a good idea. I don't have to like it, and I really don't. I need Doctor Who back as soon as possible, but I'm going to be waiting, and I will be here when the show comes back. Because Doctor Who is my safe space, and it's the safe space for thousands, tens of thousands of other people out there, autistic people, people with ADHD. I know gay people that love the show and they rely on it as something to come home to and feel safe with. Knowing that all of the episodes are out there, they're either physical media on my shelves upstairs or they're streaming on iPlayer, that knowledge gives me some sense of comfort when things turn otherwise bleak. The show is always something I've turned to when I felt low. It's something I celebrate with when I hit a high. It's my comfort blanket, if you like, and it still enthuses me, even after 50 plus years of viewing. The thought of there not being new episodes, even for a couple of years, is a hard one to cope with. Yes, of course, I'll continue to turn to the classics and the 20 years worth of the new iteration of Who, but I'll always want more. And while it's away from our screens, I have to take comfort in some kind of faith that the BBC will bring it back. And of course, I'll continue to make up my own stories somewhere up here inside my little brain of that traveller in time wandering aimlessly through the history of the universe in his impossible blue box with his friends at his side. And I know, because everyone saw it during the wilderness years, that there are lots of other people out there who are going to do the same. As a wise man may once have said, brave heart,